Hey everybody. You're probably wondering why in the world am I doing our video blog, our Monday video blog for my car. But basically, I am in Austin, Texas right now and staying with some friends in a hotel, and I just wanted to get away and spend a couple of minutes this morning and just kind of share with you. So I hope that this is not distracting, but I just wanted to get a message across this morning that I feel is very, hopefully, is something that would bring freedom to a lot of people out there watching this video. Um, I wanted to start off by reading a scripture that I hope really just kind of kicks this video off and just kind of explains where I'm going and really the message that Christ has given me this week. So basically, I want to share from Galatians. It's actually the first chapter in Galatians, and I'm going to start with verse 11. This is actually Paul writing this letter, and I just wanted to, kind of chat with you on this specific subject. So I want to start off with the scripture. Paul says, I want you to know, brothers, that the gospel I preached is not something that man made up. I do not receive it from any man, nor was I taught it. Rather, I received it by revelation from Jesus Christ. For you have heard my previous way of life in Judaism, how intensely I persecuted the church of God and tried to destroy it. That, to me, is the most intense verse of it all. But how intensely I persecuted the church of God and tried to destroy it. I was advancing in Judaism beyond many Jews of my own age and was extremely zealous for the traditions of my father. But when God, who set me apart from birth and called me by his grace, was pleased to reveal his Son in me so that I may preach him among the Gentiles. That right there is really what I wanted to share on this morning. Um, Paul is somebody, I don't know for those of you who have grown up in the church and kind of know who Paul is, but Paul is somebody who you look at and say, is never going to be used by Christ. Here's a guy who, has murdered people. Here's a gentleman who has um, persecuted Christians. Here's a guy who, like, literally fits the criteria of somebody that you would never ever think would be doing anything for Christ, never mind in leadership. To me, it shows just I don't know if you want to say humor of Christ, but it just shows how powerful and freeing Jesus Christ is and Him in your life. And, one of the things that I look at when I see Paul is just there are so many of us that say, "Oh, I can never be used." I have such an ugly past, and I know I've kind of touched on this in the past, but I think it's helpful to repeat. I have such an ugly past. I have such a horrific history in my life that there's no way that Jesus would want to use a broken individual like myself. And I want you to challenge yourself to erase those old tapes, because as long as you believe that you'll never be used by Christ, you won't. I mean, that, we're going to walk in that destiny. But the minute that you take on the fact that Jesus used people like Paul, and I don't mean to sit here and judge Paul and say, well, if you use Paul, he can use me. But really, I mean, think about that. Paul is somebody who literally is the last person on earth that I would say, wow, Jesus is going to definitely use a gentleman like that. But the power of allowing Christ in your life is so amazing and so incredible and so life changing that he could literally take somebody like Paul, who the earth, who worldly people pointed at and said, no way, can take a life like that, transform it, and turn it around to the other side and have somebody who started churches, who mentored churches, who changed hundreds of thousands of lives, who went to jail because of his relationship with Christ. It's incredible. Okay? So, my thought today is just take your story and take who you are and allow Christ to use that. Okay? Don't try to, play the I wish I didn't game and, all this kind of stuff that paralyzes you truly. Um, but flip that around and use that. I was talking to Brittany this morning about, what I was going to chat with you guys about. And one thing that she said to me, which I thought was so powerful, was, you know, who better to convert? Let's just use an example of who better to convert somebody who's dealt with drugs or alcohol than somebody who's been there, right? I mean, it's so much more powerful to be, to help somebody walk through something when you've been there and done that. And Paul, to me, is the perfect example of that. He's been there and done that, and has said anti this and anti that, and meanwhile you have a life that's transformed. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up was the fact that Paul wanted to be transformed, and Paul desired a relationship with Jesus Christ. When he had an encounter with Jesus, it was Paul who decided, I am transformed by the renewing of my mind through Jesus Christ. And I want to encourage all of you out there to allow Jesus Christ to transform you, your mind, your heart, your soul, your being. And at that point, Jesus is going to use you. I promise you. So I hope that that helps a lot of people out there, because I know it allows, it helps me. It helps me to say, yes, I founded this organization and that's a lot of responsibility and a lot of leadership role, but Jesus has put me in a place, to do that. And whether it's the smallest thing, people say the smallest thing, or a huge role in the church and in your life, please just allow Jesus to use you. Allow him to transform you and allow him to live in you and use you. So I love you guys out there. I really do. And I thank you so much for all the encouragement every single week. I pray every single week that every message that I share is something that will change lives. And I'm encouraged by your encouragement and saying that it is changing your life. And so I love you guys so much. I hope you have an incredible week. I apologize for shooting this out from my car, but like I said, I just needed a little privacy to spend time with you guys this week, and I hope that this helps in any way, shape, or form. So I love you all. Have a fabulous week, and I will see you next Monday.